Okay, well, hello, everybody. We'll see how many people join us here. We have a little special guest, Mike Cassert, I believe is the way to say his last name. And thank you, baby. And Mike survived a week with Dean. So we're going to be bringing Mike on. And he's just got back from Nicaragua. He spent a week there. And I need to do a sound check with you guys. Somebody will hit me up with a 5-by. And we'll wait till about 100 people join us. Right now, we've got 4 people. All right. Thank you, China. Appreciate you, brother. We got confirmation. You can see and hear us. So good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Canine, my old friend, my best buddy. How the hell are you? Canine's like my superhero. I am feeling awesome. You know, it's another day here in Memphis, Tennessee. Mr. Burton, you are doing well, my friend. Mr. Ed, how are you, my brother? I'm sorry, but we got Dean. We don't have Dean, but we have a guy that went and was with Dean. So I don't know if you guys need to sanitize yourself quite as much, but there may have been some peripheral toxicity. I don't know. We're going to find out. Good to see you, Chris, man. Thanks for coming up. Good morning, Michael. All right, so we got 50 people hanging with us right now. Welcome to everybody. We're going to be bringing Michael up, and Mike went down and saw Dean Verano in Nicaragua, the ultimate alpha male, Dean. And I think Dean's hanging in the wings somewhere on Facebook. Maybe at the end of the show, if you guys tell me, we'll bring his ass up here too. And that's about it. As far as myself and May, everything is cool and groovy. No big lockdown issues so far. There's been some COVID stuff that's bantering around. I didn't know if we were going to make the show today because there was rumors of a brownout. And I told Mike, I said, you know what, buddy, we're going to have to be on standby with this. So if I do go dark out of nowhere, it means the brownout did hit Valencia. So I apologize up front if that should occur. Mr. Charity, you are always welcome on our channel anytime. How are you, my brother? The chicken is over there. He's in a timeout. I don't want to tell you what he did this time. It's borderline illegal what Gaylord did last night. So we're going to leave him out of the picture. May wanted to change the curtains over to pink with hearts on it. You got to love her effort, right? All right. First time. Well, welcome aboard, Michael. We are doing good, my friend. Yeah, grab yourself, take off your socks, hydrate. August, there will not be an entry exemption document needed to enter here in the Philippines. Good. The story on that changes. I did read something this morning about Thailand that I guess August 1st, they were going to lighten things up. Who knows? They could tighten things up as far as I know. I guess Phuket is a bit of a ghost town right now. Who is this guy and why did my phone just tell me to watch this when I don't follow or watch your videos? Can I block this or block me, please? Because I guess I'm an American living in Thailand. I don't know. Those were a lot of words. Thank you very much, Daryl. Baby May's rocking, man. We're going to go back. Today is what? Today's the 25th, the 27th at 10. I'm going to the dentist. I'm going to get my teeth cleaned. And Baby May's going to get her final checkup. But since she's had the tooth pulled, the molar or whatever the hell you call it, no headaches. So she's got 3 more teeth that are screwed up. One needs a something. She's got a couple 3 cavities, basically. And I think once we get that squared away, we may have found the solution. But I want to thank everybody that sent me the names of drugs that they have used effectively for the treatment of migraines. So I've written all those down, and I've just got fingers crossed. I hate to announce good things because it seems to backfire on me. But to answer your question, she's doing awesome, feeling awesome. She was jumping around the other day doing a fashion show for a video. I walked in on the middle of it. Stop saying Dean, my gut stunk. But this isn't Dean. Okay, this is Mike. And Mike went over there, and what Mike's going to do is give us a little, hopefully unbiased information about his impressions of Nicaragua, San Juan, and things about the infrastructure, budget, food, his overall impression. And then, of course, we'll ask him about the time that he spent with Dean. And if you guys tell me, we can probably get Dean on here. Ah, good man. Yes. Yes. Did he make the rotation? Well, we're going to have to find out. I love the comments on this. See there, it's like Dean's one of those things that you just can't get out of your head for some reason. Nothing's been missed yet, brother. We're going to get started here with our guest. I'll pull out. I'll ask him a few questions, and then I'll just let him take over and chit-chat, and then I'll join him, and I'll keep an eye on the comments, see what you guys want to ask him, and we'll go from there. K9, make sure you had a medical before you sit too close. Oh, absolutely, William. Yeah. Anybody that comes out, feel free to, hit me up. And then I've done a couple of video calls with guys that have had some questions about certain things, and I'm happy to do that too. Let's see. How come there's never any threat of a brownout when Dean is on? Well, there is a threat. Savannah, Georgia, we're glad to have you here. Mike, Paul, who does your hair, greetings from Providence. I do. I just got out of the shower. Houston, welcome aboard. All right, we got 108 people. So Mikey likes life after experiencing the rotation. So I just want to make sure everybody's on board, and I'll just sit here and ramble about basically nothing until we get some people on, let everybody get kind of caught up with what the program is here. Good morning, Mr. Ron. Always nice to see you, buddy. Let's see. Sorry, brother. It's hard to listen to someone that doesn't breathe. I think Mike's a little more lucid, if you will. Yeah. I'm going to have to get therapy for Gaylord. Let's see. Citizens with valid 9A visas may be allowed entry to the Philippines without the need of an entry exemption document beginning on 1 August. Well, I hope that's true. I didn't even know there was an entry exemption document. That's how far removed I am from this whole thing. Paul already knows that we only watch for Baby May. That's fact. That is true. That is true. I'm super, super excited for May's sister, Riza. She got monetized, and she's actually made a few dollars, and I know that's going to motivate her. I haven't told her, but Google will not send you any money until you've made a threshold of $100, and she's getting real close to that threshold. Now the challenge is to open her up a working bank account. Shit. I'm very happy that baby. Thank you very much, Daryl. She is awesome. Where's Deanna? All right, so let's see here. There's only one final checkup. You won't like it, trust me. I do not know what that means, but that's probably at my end. Hey, Southern California. Oh, Scott, you can't upload a PDF doc. Yeah, you can't do anything on my stuff. Nothing works. Copy the link and paste browser. Okay. What if I don't want to grab myself? It's already getting started. Thank you very much. Yeah. Yeah, oh yeah, thumbs up, kids. Don't forget the big thumbs up. It's supposed to help my whatever it's called, algorithm. Like that matters. I'm here. Oh boy. I don't know about that, Dean. It's up to the audience, pal. All right. It's up to the audience, not me. I'm completely out of control. We're doing good, Mike. All right, I'm going to do one more. There is no Dean yet. We have Mike. Is there's a program? No one told me about any stinky program. All right, so without further ado, let's get Mike up here and have him say hi to everybody. Hey, Mike.
Hey, Paul. Hello, everybody.
All right, so what I thought I would do is I would just take myself out of the picture, and you and I had a chance to chat for about 5 or 6 minutes, I think, before this, and that's kind of where we left it, because I like to go in with these things cold and uninformed and unprepared. This is the way I operate. So what I think the guys would like to know, I know what I would like to know, is first of all, when you went to Nicaragua, after you got there, we'll get into Dean at the end, because we'll want to save the best for last. But I just want to know, like, when you got there, what was your impression of infrastructure, cost of living, the food, the availability, transportation, weather, the knucklehead stuff. And then maybe you could kind of summarize, you were only there a week, that I understand. So that's not really a heavy impression, but I also understand you did some research. So maybe you could share with the kids here, the boys and the girls, exactly that, you know, what your overall impression was. And maybe you can put your head into their head or walk a mile in their shoes for a minute and tell them what they would expect if they're thinking about going there. Is that fair?
Sure.
All right, buddy. I'm out. You're in.
Okay. Well, I flew in from Miami to Managua. Managua is the capital of Nicaragua. The flight was only 2.5 hours. So as Dean has said to you guys in the past, the benefit of Nicaragua is it's so close to the United States. The town that Dean lives in is called San Juan del Sur, and it's a tourist town. It's actually one of the few towns that have beaches in Nicaragua. And it's about 2.5 hours from the airport. And had a driver pick me up, take me down to the town where Dean is, and then Dean and I met up. The roads are perfect, no potholes, nothing. A lot of greenery. There's a lot of farmland, and they grow a lot of sugarcane, rice, things like that, and they have a lot of livestock. When I got to San Juan del Sur, it's a small town. It's about 15,000 people. I think that Dean told me is the population, and it's kind of divided. It's kind of the locals, and then you have the tourists that come in, because the cruise ships used to go in there before COVID hit. So a lot of their economy is based on tourism. And if you go to the tourist places, you're going to be paying American prices. And if you know how the locals live, you know where to go to get things that are cheaper. I would say that Nicaragua is very similar to the Philippines in the fact that it's very laid back. The people are very friendly. The one big drawback I would say to the Philippines is that you really need to learn how to speak Spanish, or you're going to have a hard time down there. Some people speak English. The people that work in the tourist hotels and in the service places there, a lot of them speak English, so you won't have any problem with that. And menus in restaurants are actually printed in both Spanish and English. And a big plus there is I never had to change money. I could use American money everywhere I went, or a credit card. So I thought that was pretty good. Never had to change over. I went into a convenience store once and bought something, and I paid with American money, and they paid me back in Cordoba, which is like a 35-to-1 exchange rate. So that was the only time I ever got any Nicaraguan money. But other than that, I used American money the whole time. It's a sleepy little town, I would say. If you like small towns or small cities, I think it would be ideal. But I think you need a purpose down there, meaning that you need to find a way to work or have some big hobby or something like that, because I think you might get bored otherwise. I can't say what the dating situation is like there. I didn't see a lot of women. I saw a lot of married people, and then I saw a lot of younger girls, but not a whole lot of people. But some of the girls that I saw were very, very attractive, very slim. So you have that. I did meet one girl, a friend of Eurlanie's, and we went out on a date, and she's 21 years old, smoking hot, and she wants to date me. She wants me to come back and see her. So I'm 60, she's 21, and she wants to date me, if that tells you anything. Other than that, I spent the week there not as a tourist, but more of researching retirement. So I went around to the grocery stores, and I looked at apartments to see what it would cost to live, and walked around the local downtown area, saw the restaurants, saw the shops. I won't say that there's a lot of places to go shop. You have to go to Rivas to go clothes shopping and to buy electronics and things like that. And Rivas is about 25 minutes away from San Juan del Sur. So there is the problem with living in a smaller town is you have to go to the bigger towns to get some of that other stuff. And in Managua, they have malls, just like we have here. I didn't go in any, but they're there. And they have a lot of fast food that we have here, too. Pizza seems to be one of the biggest things that they like. I mean, there were Pizza Huts everywhere, Papa John's everywhere. In Managua, not in San Juan del Sur. There is no fast food in San Juan del Sur. Other than that, I don't know what else to tell you. I will say that Dean is a man of his word, and he did everything he could to help me out.
All right. Well, that's good information. So what I surmised from that was that it's very small. Now, I consider where I live to be fairly small also. In other words, there's one place here for nightlife, and it's a disco, 80s style disco. And once you've been there once, you've been there 100 times. You know, it's like going back to watch the same movie. Same people go. It's just like that. So it sounds like it might be a place. It doesn't sound bad because you've got that other town that you say is about 25 minutes away.
And it's much larger. There's I think it's either 70,000 people or 700,000 people. I can't remember.
Okay.
And then Managua's got 2.5 million, something like that. So it's huge.
And I forgot already. How far away is Managua?
Managua is about 2.5 hours from San Juan del Sur by car.
Okay. All right. So hypothetically, you could make a day trip there.
Oh yeah, and they do it all the time too. The taxi drivers, right? They go back and forth 2 or 3 times a day.
Really?
Yeah.
So you could go there and do your big shopping if you so desire, or if you're just craving like a pizza, or do they have other fast food?
Oh no, they have fast food pizza in San Juan del Sur, locally owned by people, and the pizza's phenomenal. I mean, it was really good. Yeah.
And what about the other food? Were you impressed by it? Was it Mexican food? Was it different?
Basically, it's I would say it's kind of like plain food. You know, meats, rice. You gotta love rice and beans if you go down there. Gotcha. That's a staple down there. I didn't have any bad food at all, but I wouldn't say that it was something that you want to write home about either.
Copy that. Yeah. However, you could take the 25-minute ride, and you could find more selections, more variety.
Yeah, well, I think you can find pretty much all variety there. I mean, there's a Chinese place there. There's a thing called the marketplace where most of the locals eat, and you can get yourself a plate of chicken and rice for $3.50.
Okay.
The Chinese place, $3. And then you have fancy restaurants that are owned by foreigners because there's a lot of expats down there that own businesses.
Okay.
And for four of us, on the last night we were there, we went to one of those beachfront restaurants, and it was $71 for four people, no alcohol. So you can, like I said, if you go to the tourist places, you're going to pay American prices.
Gotcha. Was the food good? Was there a lot of drinks involved, or was that just one beer apiece?
It was. Dean and I had chicken and rice, and then the girls had fried shrimp and Cokes all around. $71.
Okay, so maybe worth it for one time, but nothing special.
Yeah, a fancy date, I would say.
Yeah, okay, I got it. All right. So, and then there's 25 minutes away, this other town. Is there a mall in there? Is that the deal? Is there other more?
Well, I saw a mall in Managua. I didn't see anything in Rivas. It was like I just passed through Rivas, so I don't really know a whole lot about it. Dean can probably tell you a whole lot more about Rivas than I can.
Okay. All right. So you said it was without a purpose. I think that applies in life in general. If you wake up every day and you don't have a purpose, then that's depression session, So would you consider it a place to retire for a guy that is kind of sedentary, if you will, an older guy that his main thing is he wants to get up in the morning. He'd like to go have breakfast. Is there anything for him to do other than go to the beach or exercise or walk? Is there a lot of vegetation available, or is it just kind of bland and Midwesterny?
Well, actually, I would say it's quite colorful.
Okay.
The downtown area is pretty cool. They got little mom and pop shops everywhere. They got a lot of beach attire. You can get good gelato there. Believe it or not, there's 2 gelato places in the town. Okay. You can get breakfast anywhere for cheap. There's 2 gyms in the town. One is like an MMA gym, and the other gym is like a weightlifting gym.
Okay.
So you got both of those. I don't think there's like movie theaters there. I didn't see anything like that. There are bars there. There's quite a few bars actually. And there's, everything is close. I mean, it takes you like 5 minutes to get around the whole downtown area. So you can do a walk or you can take a cab or whatever.
And did you have an opportunity to go like to the beach, or was that not enough time?
The beach, well, actually it's on the side, there's the east side and the west side of Nicaragua. I was on the east side, and my hotel was right across the street was the beach.
Okay.
And it's really not really the beach. It's like a bay. This is where they moor all the boats and stuff. And actually there was waves that roll in and people swim in there and all that. So I could have just hopped across the street, went into the water anytime I wanted to.
Is it a nice white sandy beach, or is it a rocky beach like we've got here?
No, nice flat sand. I wouldn't say white sand. It's kind of like the color of sand in America.
Okay. And your overall impression of the apartments that you took a look at?
Okay, so we looked at apartments from the $350 range all the way up to $1,100.
Wow.
Now,
that's variety, actually. That's actually a nice swing, because I don't mean to interrupt you, but I just had a conversation with a guy that's a lawyer, and he's like, Paul, I can spend $2,000 a month. I've got tons of money. He liked that option. So
I got a place for him then.
Right. So
they have regular apartments all the way up to resort places that have apartments.
Okay.
And the $350 apartment, right? It was 1 bedroom with a balcony and a front porch. $350 if you go month to month. Less than that if you want to sign a lease. They clean your apartment 3 days for free. And they also will do laundry for you, 12 pieces for like $2.
Okay.
So, and then as you go up, you still get those amenities too in other places. For example, the $1,100 one was 2 bedrooms, 2 baths, central air conditioning, completely furnished kitchen, stocked with dishes and pots and pans and things so like that, completely furnished. The only thing you have to pay for is electricity, which can get very expensive in Nicaragua, just like it is in the Philippines. It can get very expensive. They said the average bill for central air is about $300 a month. So it's pretty high.
Yeah.
But the apartment was beautiful. I mean, you feel like you're living on Park Avenue. It's so nice.
So hypothetically, I'm just running this scenario through my head. If I wanted to go treat myself to a real fancy schmancy place, actually very reasonably priced, because if you think $1,100, I'm thinking about what kind of apartment that would get me in Las Vegas, and that's fairly ho-hum. You know, a 2-bedroom,
Right.
2-bath, clean, safe, covered parking, all that kind of stuff, but nothing off the hook. From what I'm vibing from you is that for $1,100, it's a resort style deal.
Yep, you get it, and they have a restaurant at the resort. You get a discount if you live there. I think it was like 15% off the food. And then when I say everything included, your internet is included, your cable's included, your water's included, the gas is included. There's a washer dryer in the apartment. The dryer's hooked up to gas, so it's free. And again, the only downside is the electricity. It's just very expensive.
How about the internet?
Internet, as far as reliability goes?
Yes.
I had 0 problems with internet while I was there. No brownouts. And you know what? I didn't hear was we're out of that.
What's that?
They were always stocked with everything that you needed. So in other words, when you go into a restaurant, you know, you order something and they didn't tell me, no, we're out of that.
Okay. And so this is, again, ho-hum stuff, but for me, it's interesting because it's the ho-hum stuff that get on your nerves after a while. You know, that once it's removed from you, you find out how important it is. So when you walk into the local Walmart, which if you did, or the local grocery store, if you did you see a lot of selection of variety? In other words, could I go in there and buy myself a steak that I could put on the grill? Or
filet mignon, $3 a pound. That's pretty good for filet mignon. What I've noticed there is that what I found out was that Nicaragua actually exports beef to the United States.
Interesting.
They have so much of it. Yep.
Wow.
Meats were cheap. Vegetables were cheap. Fruits were cheap.
Okay.
You get 12 bananas for 60 cents.
Okay.
Now stuff like imported stuff, for example, like cornflakes.
Yeah.
I don't remember what the box of cereal was, but it was high. A tube of toothpaste is $4.
Really?
Yeah. But your staples, your rice, you know, your vegetables, your meats, things like that, you can get pasta there. Everything is low cost, especially the meat. I couldn't believe how cheap the meat was. And the other thing that I learned is you don't have to shop in the grocery store. They have butchers there, and they have local fruit and vegetable stands where the quality's better and the prices are actually a little bit cheaper than the grocery store.
Right. Same here. Without the steaks. But
I had a steak in a restaurant that was, I would say, America quality.
Okay.
Yep. It was a filet mignon steak. Very good.
And what was the price in the restaurant? Was it
Well, it was, I ate, Dean was with me. He just had something to drink. So for my meal and his drinks, it was $12.
Okay.
For a steak.
Okay.
So
for a steak.
And that was in one of the nicer restaurants too. So
okay. So far so good.
Yeah.
You know, now what was your overall take on the vibe of the people?
Extremely friendly, extremely helpful if you could talk to them. So, because, you know, I was with Dean most of the time, and Dean speaks, you know, fluent Spanish, so he interpreted everything.
Right.
Some of the, like I said, the people that work in the service industry there, that work in the tourist places, some of them spoke English. The hotel desk clerks, they spoke English. So, you know, there was really no problem there. But for the locals, yeah, I needed Dean's help.
Okay. So I have a friend that travels about all sorts of different countries. And one of his parts of his MO when he first gets to town is he hires somebody to do two things, to drive and interpret. So he'll hire a guy that has a cab, and he might interview 3, he might interview 30. And he makes sure that they can communicate. And then he just says, what's your rate? And the guy will say, well, it's so much a day. Okay, I'll double that. I own you for the next 3 days because we're going to be going here and going there. And I'll buy you lunch. And so it seems to me that, well, let me ask you, would that be a possibility there?
Yes. As a matter of fact, the guy that picked me up at the airport is more than willing to do that, and he speaks perfect English.
See, there you go.
Yep.
I think that would be the way to fly, is to have a guy like that, a local that's on speed dial. And, you know, you can try to navigate on your own, but then you get into a situation where you do need an interpreter. You meet a woman, or you meet a friend or whatever, or you're just having a hassle trying to communicate, someone that could be there. And I think that would be probably fairly inexpensive. Overall, what was your impression of the apartment for $350?
Very clean, very clean, very clean. There was nothing broken. It's interesting because they have an upstairs and a downstairs. The upstairs apartment is a 1-bedroom. Downstairs is a 2-bedroom. The upstairs apartment didn't have any hot water. But let me tell you, in Nicaragua, I don't think you need hot water. In the afternoon, it gets really hot. So people, they seem to stir at 6 a.m. and they get their stuff done in the morning. Then they kind of go inside in the afternoon, and then they come out in the evening time when the sun goes down. Maybe it's the same way in the Philippines.
Yeah.
But that apartment, I would have no trouble living in that apartment for $350 a month. Yep. I mean, it was that good. And they also had a pit area where they had a grill. You can go out there and grill if you want to.
Wow.
Yeah. So, and then I met the cleaning lady that was there. You know, she was actually doing somebody's laundry when we were there looking at the apartments.
Could you rent that apartment for just 1 month?
Yes, $350 for the month. And then if you went on a lease, it would be less.
So hypothetically, a guy could say, okay, I'm going to take a month off. I could say, I'm going to take a month off, go to Nicaragua, lease that place instead of spending all the money at the hotel, and move in. And I'd be able to go down and buy my favorite thing, which is a steak that I can't find out here for stupid money. I can, but you know what I mean?
Right.
And I could stock up a freezer and a refrigerator, take my cab, go out and get the fruits, the vegetables, the steaks, have access to a grill. Does the apartment come with plates and forks and all that stuff?
I didn't see that in there. If you bring Dean on later, you might want to ask him, but I didn't see it. In the expensive apartment, they had everything furnished for you.
Sure.
In the other apartment, they actually furnish it, but I don't remember if there was plates and dishes and things.
We're getting hung up here.
Yeah, no, I'm good. You got hung up there for a second.
Yeah.
So I don't remember in the $350 a month if they stocked the kitchen. I can't remember.
All right, but a single guy needs to go out and buy 1 plate, 1 cup, 1 set of forks and knives, and rinse them off.
Or eat out. You know, this food is so cheap. If you know where to go, you don't have to cook. And that's what Dave is doing. If you remember Dave, he never cooks. He actually in the hotel he's living in. Say again? Is
Dave still there?
Yeah, Dave is still there. He might have to leave the middle of next month.
I think something happened to him.
No, he's doing great. He's staying in a hotel where he's got the owner's wife cooking for him. He just has to buy the food. So she cooks for him for free.
I'm just reading some comments here.
Okay.
All right, so let's get into your encounter with Dean.
Well, let me just tell you one other thing too that I found interesting there.
Okay.
Talking about the medical there, the hospital. If you go to the hospital,
you got all about medical.
Yep, the hospital. If you go to the hospital, it's free, not just for the locals, but for tourists too. There was a guy who got hit by a car, and he had to have his leg taken care of. He was a foreigner completely free.
No shit.
Yeah. And I guess because it's
weak, but what do you think overall quality? I mean, did you walk into a hospital and check it out, or
yeah,
no?
actually, when you want to leave the country, you have to go to Managua and take the COVID test for $150, or you can't get out of the country.
How much is
So
it?
$150 for the
150. Okay.
Yep. And the hospital is very interesting in Managua because it's not like a hospital like we think about in the States. It's like all these different areas. This area over here did the COVID stuff. The main hospital was over on the left, and very efficient on how they did things. So I can't really say for the medical care because I didn't need it when I was there. But also, too, when you go into the drugstore, you don't need prescriptions, and you can buy one pill if you want it. And all you have to do is just tell the pharmacist what's wrong with you, and then they tell, well, you need this pill.
Really?
Yeah.
So no problem with antibiotics or anything like that?
They seem to be completely stocked. And in the grocery store, too, they had everything in there on the shelves. The only thing that they were out of was eggs. And Dean said that's very unusual, but they didn't have any eggs that day. So,
okay.
Yeah.
All right. Maybe the delivery truck didn't come that day,
Possibly, or somebody's making a big omelet.
So let's see. Okay, well, let's go into your encounter with Dean. Let's hear the story.
Okay, so Dean, when I got into town, right, Dean came and met me. He brought Yorlani with him, and that was the first time we met. And we went out and had something to eat. And we talked, and then he took me to my hotel. And then the next day we got together and we started exploring, because what he wanted to do originally was, we're going to spend a couple of days in Managua. Maybe we'll spend a couple of days in Granada. We'll do this. And let's say, well, hold on, Dean. I want to see how you live. I want to see how the locals live. I'm not interested in being a tourist. So he changed everything around, and we spent the whole 7 days in San Juan del Sur.
Okay, awesome.
Dean is very much a man of his word. Everything that he said he would do for me, he did. Mm-hmm. He's a very intelligent guy, and we have a lot. Our viewpoints in life are very similar. We had a lot of long conversations. I got to meet Yorlani, and I got to meet Fabi, and then he has two others that I didn't meet. Fabi is the mother of Sophia, his daughter.
Okay.
And he completely supports Fabi so she can take care of the child, so she doesn't have to go to work, and she can be a mother full time. So he completely supports her for that. And I think that's pretty admirable that he's doing that. He didn't turn his back at all. His daughter is 4 years old and just absolutely lovable.
Okay.
And he's got his German Shepherd, Isis, wonderful dog. I saw his house. His house was nice, but I'll tell you, the $350 apartment that I looked at was nicer. So,
okay. All right.
Yeah.
All right.
He says, and interestingly enough, his landlord owns those apartments too. So they own that house, and then they own the apartments that I looked at. They were very nice people. They said, we'll work with you. If whenever you're ready to come back, just let us know. You give us a small deposit, we'll hold the apartment for you. So they were very good about it. Dean is still Dean. He's very high energy. He's not quite as high energy as when he's on your show, but I'll tell you what, he's a very down-to-earth guy. You'd be very surprised if you met him for real.
I don't know. I always had the impression with Dean that he was genuine, if nothing else. I didn't find him to be a bullshitter at all. And I found him to, either you love him or you hate him, but he is what he is. And so.
And he literally knows everybody in town. He can't walk 5 feet without somebody knowing him.
He's got to. Yeah.
Yeah. He knows everyone, and everybody speaks highly of him. I've talked to people on the side, and they say, oh, yeah, we love Dean. He's a great guy, very generous, that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. He's a hard worker.
What's the validity of his 5-girl rotation?
4. He's got 4 right now.
Okay.
So I would say Yorlani is his number 1 girl.
So I always see him with her.
Yeah, and Fabi's number 2 because Fabi is the mother of Sophia.
Okay.
And then I think the other 2 are kind of like when he feels like calling them up.
Okay.
But he's never with more than one at a time. So your Laney goes there and spends so many days, right? And then he's with Fabi so many days. That's how he really does it. It's not like there's like a harem or anything like that.
Gotcha. Copy that. Yeah. So he's not having 3 girls there all spending the night the same night. That's not the way it rolls.
He's still alive. He's definitely not doing that because the girls there are very jealous.
Are they really?
Yeah, very much so.
Okay, so what was for the guys, the single guys that are looking for female companionship or a long-term relationship or a one-night stand, whatever their thing is? What's your impression of the women in Nicaragua? And I know you were there a week, so
right. Now, what I can tell you is I talked to Yorlani and Fabi, and I asked them, I said, for a guy like me, what are my chances of dating down there? And they said, even though you're older, I'm 60, they said that because of the way you look, and your demeanor, you can date as far down as 18 if you wanted to. But the thing about it is, I think that you have to have a little bit of game. I don't think it's going to be as easy to get women there as it would be in the Philippines.
Yeah, why is that?
Well, I first of all, I didn't see a lot of women there. What I saw was the married ones, and then I saw the younger girls. So, and then the girl, of course, that I went out with, she's 21. So
okay.
I didn't see like single women in their 30s running around, that kind of thing.
Right.
So I've never been to the Philippines, so I don't know what it's like there. But from the way you guys talk, like they come out of the woodwork. They're all over the place.
I don't talk that way.
Gio, that's what Gio says. That's what the other Paul says. That's what they say. They're all over the place. I didn't see that there, but Dean says they're there too. But you got to go to like Torrid to get that better selection of people.
I'll temper that a little bit. They are in multitudes here. However, they're not running up and throwing themselves at you as some guys want you to believe. That's right. Just not happening. It just doesn't happen. Again, you have to have some game, I think, anywhere you go.
Yeah.
If you're just some lumpy old guy, old piece of coal like me, and you just sit on a bench, there's nobody going to come up and say hi to me. But if I have a little personality or a little comedy or, just something that that is then a big benefit. So, but it sounds to me like now your overall impression of the women as far as beauty goes. What's your take on that?
It's interesting because they have a very big Mayan Indian influence there.
Okay,
so you see very Latin looking women there, and you see the Indian type looking women there. The Indian ones, in my opinion, were like drop dead gorgeous in the face, but they do have a tendency to be a little bit overweight.
Okay.
There. Until you get into the bigger city. When you get into the bigger city, then you see more like what I call cosmopolitan type women, the more business professional, that kind of thing. Then they're thinner, a little bit thinner, that kind of thing. But you smile at them, they'll smile back. You say hello, they'll say hello to you back. You talk to them, they'll talk to you, if you can speak the language, if they speak English. So I didn't have any problems with the friendliness of them. The approachability, I think, is there.
Okay.
Yeah.
But that was such a big influence on me over here, is that when you smile at a woman here, it doesn't mean you're flirting with them. It simply means that you're being friendly.
Right.
You're just smiling, and it's just a way of sort of being nice. It doesn't have any kind of pretense to it. Where in America, if you smile at a young woman, the next thing you know, you got a knee in your back and they're putting the cuffs on.
Yep. That's the way it is now. You can get arrested just for smiling at a woman now. It's unbelievable. That's why I'm waiting to get out of here. It's either going to be Nicaragua or the Philippines.
So where do you live right now, Mike?
I'm in North Carolina.
Okay, you're in North Carolina. So do you plan to return to Nicaragua? Do you plan to go back?
Well, as far as Dean's concerned, he thinks I'm going there to live.
Okay.
But I really want to see the Philippines first before I make my final decision.
Okay.
But I wouldn't mind going back to see the girl that I went out with. She's a very nice girl. I'd like to see her again.
Okay.
But a lot of nice girls in the Philippines too, so you never know.
All right. And is that your primary driver? Is that you want to meet a female?
Not at all. My primary driver is kind of like what you were looking for. I'm looking for retirement, live on my social,
Yeah.
I'm a career martial artist. I've been doing it for 47 years, and I'd like to open up a little studio or a school and wherever I go. And
Yeah,
they were very receptive to that there in Nicaragua. They said, we'd love to have you come and do that for us.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So let's get into that. I know a week is hard to tell because what about, do you know about buying property? Do you know about opening a business as a foreigner? Do you have any kind of poop on that, or was it still too new to rate?
We didn't get a hold because I'm not interested in buying anything. So
Okay.
to start a business is very easy. Renting storefronts is cheap.
Okay.
And you have, here's the other weird thing too, is I didn't see a lot of expats there.
That was good.
I met 3 or 4 maybe, and then some of them own businesses, right? And when they're a foreigner owning a business, they charge too much money for everything. They don't charge local prices; they charge tourist prices.
Okay.
But renting the storefronts would be easy. I don't know all the legalities that you'd have to go through, and I think you're allowed to own property there too, because they told me that the expats kind of live out of town in their own developments. So the housing developments, you're going to see all expats just in those developments because they can afford to pay more money.
Okay. Now, what else was I going to get into with you? All right, so you're going to go back and meet the girl? Is that the case?
Plan is to go back. If I was to leave, I still have to sell a house, and I got to sell all my stuff. You know how all that goes. I couldn't do anything, and I got to figure out how can I make money because I still have a year and a month to go before I can collect social. It's because I'm going to do it at 62 like you did.
Okay, so how old are you?
I still have 60.
Okay, so you got 2 years to go, or a year and a half?
Yeah, I'll be 61 in September.
Okay, so you're about a year and a half.
Yeah, well, a year and 2 months.
Yeah, a year and 2 months. Yeah, you're on the cusp, baby.
Yep.
So,
but if I move now, I got to figure out how I can make money between now and then.
Yeah, it sounds like you should just hold tight. You know.
Well, with the way the Philippines is going, it's going to be 60. It'll all time out perfect, I think.
Right. Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this, just nuts and bolts. You're in South Carolina, correct?
North Carolina.
North Carolina. I apologize. What was the overall cost? Airline, hotel, COVID?
Okay, so I think that with the airfare, I probably spent maybe $1,200 total. And the biggest money was the hotel because it was $99 a night, and I was paying tourist prices. And then I had to go come from the airport, go back to the airport to get out of here, and then I had to go back and forth to the airport again, or not the airport, but go to Managua to go to the hospital. So I had to make 3 trips just to get the stupid COVID test because you can't get it in any town but except Managua. It's a government thing, so they can make money. So I would say probably about $1,200 total with the airfare. So I didn't, but I didn't buy stuff. I didn't buy souvenirs. I just really spent money on food because I didn't go take excursions. I didn't go on fishing trips. I didn't do any of that kind of stuff. I just lived like a local for a week.
And how much was your airfare?
So what I had to do was get 2 round trip tickets. I had to get a round trip to Miami, and then I had to get a round trip from Miami to Managua, 2 different airlines. The round trip from here to Miami was a little over $200, and the round trip from Miami to Managua was a little over $500. So it was a little under $800 for the whole thing.
Okay. So you got $800 in airfare, and you had about $700 in hotel?
Well, the first night I actually stayed in a boarding house. It was just a room, and that was only $30. And then I spent the other 6 nights in the other hotel, so that's $600 there.
Okay.
So it's actually $1,400 when you get down to it. I spent let's see, about $150 in taxi fare going back and forth, and then Dean drove everywhere else. He's got a Mercedes, believe it or not. And then the food costs, and then where we went, food was cheap. Because Dean would take me to the local places, so we didn't spend a whole lot of money on food. But
we can safely say that you could spend a week there from where you're at for $2,000.
Yeah. So I would say what you can, if you were living there, probably about the same for a month if you weren't staying in a fancy hotel and whatnot. Because that hotel was nice. I mean, that was American standard, that hotel. So it was that nice.
Yeah. Again, my MO would be just to get the apartment.
Absolutely.
And just, because I prefer to cook and all that kind of stuff if I want to. Some days here, May and I will look at each other and go, I'm lazy. Yeah, me too. And we won't leave the house for 3 days. And we've just got plenty of food. And that's just the way we feel. Maybe we're a little under the weather, that kind of stuff. Right. So that's why I like having a little extra space. A hotel room's still a hotel room, unless you're in some suite. And hotel rooms get claustrophobic to me. You're watching, my typical hotel room, I'm watching TV from the bed. And it's just, I don't know. So anyway, the apartment just appeals to me, which doesn't matter. Everybody's got their own personal taste. So could you picture yourself living there?
Yes, absolutely. As long, again, as you have that purpose. If you go down there just to be down there, I think you'd go crazy fast.
Okay.
In my opinion. Yep.
Okay. What would a typical day be for a guy that didn't have a purpose? In other words, we're going to say for you, it would be opening up a little business.
Right. For me, but the typical guy who didn't want to do that kind of thing, kind of like the expats you see over there, that they go to the bar and drink, or they may have some friends, that kind of thing, because there's not really a whole lot to do in that town.
So it sounds very sleepy.
Yeah. Pretty much.
Okay.
But, because Dean has, he runs his business and he has his YouTube channel, right? Sure. And he's always on the go. He's always doing something. So he kind of has purpose in life, and he really enjoys his life. He really, I never saw a happier guy in my life, if you ask me. So.
All right. Cool.
Yeah.
All right. So you could see that as being a definite, take Dean out of the equation. If Dean didn't exist, you would still go there and leave it on your top 3, I figure, as a place.
If Dean didn't live there, I'd go there sooner. No, just kidding. Yes, I could live there. I could live there with no problem. And I would say from what I pay now, it's probably about a fourth of what I would pay down there.
Yeah, I'm getting the idea that a monthly budget over there would be similar to what it is here in the Philippines.
Right.
Maybe a little less, actually, because once you get dialed into the local stuff and you figure out this fruit stand and this meat market, and you kind of get, the local knowledge.
Dean said about $400 a week, and then maybe have a little bit in the bank, and you're good to go.
Yeah, I was going to say 15, 1600, and you'd be fairly comfortable,
Yep.
And you could bump up the apartment from 450, say, to 600. Would that be?
We couldn't get in to see the $600 ones because they didn't have any units available to see. So we saw 350, and then we saw another apartment complex that was one of those resort ones that was about 800, and then the last one for 1100. And if I had the bucks, I would stay there.
Gotcha. How about 800?
It was that nice. It was that nice. I would stay there because it looks like nobody even lived in it. It looked like everything was brand new and it was lived in already. So that's how nice they keep it.
How about for 800? Did you see that one?
Yeah, the 800 it's like a studio. So there's really no separation from the bedroom. It's one bathroom with a no bedroom. Still all the same amenities that you get with the 2-bedroom, just a lot smaller. So, and they will allow you to make changes in the apartment if you want to. If you want to put shelves in, you want to change this, you want to do that. They said that's fine. Go ahead and do it.
Now, does the 350? Does that come with like a television set and cable?
It actually has 2 TVs. It has one in the living room area and one in the bedroom.
Okay. And what's TV like over there? Out of curiosity, is it
99 channels? 99 channels, and 2 of them come in English.
2.
Everything else is in Spanish. 2 channels.
Everything else is in Spanish.
Yeah, like a TNT. You can, and they got the Spanish subtitles, but it comes in English. And then they do this, right? they dub it in Spanish, and then they put Spanish on the bottom too. So it's like a double whammy. It's like, why did you do that? Now, here's something else that's interesting, right? There were two holidays going on there. There was a political holiday going on and a religious holiday going on. And it was the 19th, I believe, right? And I was watching a movie on TV, and I kid you not, the government took over all 99 channels and preempted all the programming.
Wow.
Yeah, like here in the United States, when the president gets on, it's 3 channels, right? They took all 99 channels and preempted everything. So you were forced to watch that.
Wow.
Yeah, and it was noisy. Parades going by at 5 o'clock in the morning, fireworks going off all the time, rowdy people. So it was kind of noisy, but it's not like that all the time. It was just because there was a holiday celebration going on.
All right, I'm back here. All right, so your overall impression is positive. Your overall impression with Dean was positive.
Yep.
You met a nice young lady while you were over there. It sounds like it's very comparable cost-wise to the Philippines. One thing I didn't dive into with you that I'm curious about is the weather. You mentioned it was very hot. Can you kind of give us a vibe as to, was it humid hot or was it dry heat? Was it the kind where you walk outside the door and your shirt just turns wet? You know, like in Bangkok, when I walked out the front door of the hotel, it felt like I walked into a wall.
Yep, I've been to Bangkok too. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Jesus.
Yep. That was interesting, by the way, Bangkok. It's interesting because the actual temperature is kind of like here in North Carolina in the summertime. In the morning, there's a nice breeze going on until about 11:30. Then it gets hot. Breeze stops, it gets hot, and there's a little bit of humidity, and that goes to about 3-4 in the afternoon. It's about 4
Fahrenheit, if I may ask.
Say again?
What degrees Fahrenheit would you call it?
It ranged anywhere from like 84 to like 90. And that's what I'm experiencing here in North Carolina right now. Yeah, it wasn't that, believe me, it wasn't that hot until that one section of the day when it just got hot, real hot.
Real hot.
Real hot, and then you gotta kind of want to go inside, and that's Dean does. He'll get up early in the morning, do his things, and then he'll take an afternoon nap and stay inside.
Yeah. That's been kind of the MO here in the Philippines too for a lot of guys.
Yeah,
they'll just knock it off for a couple hours. So 3
in the
o'clock
evening, it starts to cool off again. The breeze comes back.
Okay.
So I would say that because I would eat breakfast outside. You get a nice breeze coming in off the ocean and stuff, and it was really nice. Except for that one part of the day when it gets really hot, you don't want to be outside.
Copy. All right. And do most people do they kind of withdraw? I mean, do you see the town sort of shrink as the heat comes on?
Yeah, they're like I said, they're very active. Like 6 a.m., it's like the whole town wakes up. And then in the afternoon, it gets a little bit lower. You see more expats out in the afternoon than you do the rest of the day. And then in the evening, they all come back out again.
Okay.
A lot of hostels in the town, right? And there's a lot of people living in those hostels, but they don't stay in their rooms. They kind of hang out outside on the sidewalk.
Right.
Yeah.
As far as a safety level,
Never felt unsafe anywhere, and I went down some wrong turn streets because I went walking by myself, and I didn't feel a thing. And the people, they kind of ignore you, unless you talk to them. They don't even bother you. So yeah.
So no one hassles you. Like if you walk by, let me get into this for a minute because we get a lot of this in the Philippines, at least in certain areas. Are there kids that come up and beg from you? Are there people that come up with their hand out and all that kind of stuff? Is there any kind of hassle with that?
No beggars, but street people selling stuff.
Okay.
People selling pottery, selling food. Like there's a lot of people sell cashew nuts there. I didn't see any other nuts there but cashews, and they come up with this thing like this, and then they want to sell you some. And if you say no gracias, they just walk right away from you. No problem.
Okay, so they don't hound you.
No, and nobody begged for money, nothing like that.
Okay. What about Did you see any like rowdy teenagers or anything like that? People racing crazy on their motorcycles or cars?
No, funny you should mention motorcycles because a lot of people drive motorcycles, not scooters, motorcycles.
Okay, that's
I would
interesting.
say there's more motorcycles than cars. And no rowdy kids. Everybody's respectful. The younger people, you remember how it used to be like 20, 30, 40 years ago here where the young people respected older people? That's how I felt down there.
Yeah, I get the same vibe here.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolute same vibe. Where you respected your teacher. If the teacher told you to shut up, you shut up.
Yep.
You get in trouble if you were chewing gum, or if you didn't, your shirt wasn't tucked in, they'd pull you in. And
Right.
here we are 40 years, 50 years later, right?
Yeah. And if you're nice to people, they're nice to you. I mean, if you're going to walk up to somebody and punch them in the face, you're probably going to get a bad reaction from that, But,
Well,
you walk up and you just say, hello, good morning. I speak a little Spanish, so I would, just say, hello, how are you? That kind of thing. And they come right back with the same stuff. And they're very respectful, very polite. That's what I encountered there from everybody.
all right. Well, I see so many correlations between the Philippines and there, but to be quite frank with you, it almost sounds better there. With the exception of the language. I mean, I do have a little advantage here and the Philippines gets overplayed with the language ability, by the way. You'll find, or I have found, that if I get into a trike with a guy that just guts it out all day, God love him, 12 hours driving that bad boy around, he doesn't speak any English. Similar to what you're talking about, if I go to a retail store, the more expensive and the more complicated it might be. Believe it or not, you have to have a 4-year college degree to work at McDonald's here in the Philippines. That's the truth. And they pretty much hire only females to man the cash register for some reason. And even that gets goofed up. But those people have gotten a proficiency in English. I would say 5% are proficient in English out here. And I would say the other 95% range from 0 to maybe 30%. It just depends. You have to talk real slow. I can't talk like this, with the exception of that 5, maybe 10% of the population out here. Here, I just keep in my head, I keep playing this analysis of what I'm hearing. And for me, if I wanted to get out of sleepy little Dumaguete, I would go to Cebu, would be my next big town, or on my own island, a place called Bacolod, which has got more variety as far as shopping malls, food, etc. But minimum to travel to Bacolod from here is 5 or 6 hours. Wow. And then Cebu is pretty much the same thing. It's 5, unless you fly there. And, that's $100 a copy each way, or 50. Depends on what day of the week it is, I suppose. And of course, COVID's cock block and all of that. But on a normal circumstance, if I wanted to go to a big fancy mall in a bigger city and buy some different kind of food, buy some clothes that fit or a little more modern, I wanted to get some fancy kind of products for my skin or anything like that, I would need to go out of town, and it's a 6-hour jaunt, 7-hour jaunt each way. What I'm hearing from you is it's about a 30-minute taxi ride.
Yep, you go to Rivas, 25 minutes, and then you can get pretty much everything you want there.
And what would it cost on the taxi? I mean, I know it's kind of a knucklehead question, but
the way they do the taxi there is let's say you're by yourself, right? They won't go until they can fill the taxi up. So they'd have to get 3 people who want to go to Rivas.
Okay.
And then I think it was very cheap. It was like $4 to go to Rivas. I think one way. Yep.
And one last question is, can you navigate that from your apartment? We're going to pretend that we just moved into the $350 apartment. Uh-huh. Can we navigate the rest of our life on foot, or do we need a car, or do we need a motorcycle, or?
Depends on where you're going. Of course, the hotel was local to everything close. Right now, Dean lives a little bit further away, and he says with the taxis and the buses, you don't really need, because the first so many years he lived there, he didn't have a car, like 6 years, so he did it without transportation, no scooter, no nothing. But you are going to have to take, if you want to get like from where Dean's house is to my hotel, you can't walk it. It's a little bit too far away. Right, you can't walk it. But to go from the hotel and all the places in downtown where all the restaurants are, where all the shops are and everything else, it's a 2-minute walk.
From the apartment?
From the hotel.
What about from the apartment?
From the apartment is near Dean's house. The only thing that I noticed that was close to Dean's house was the grocery store and the butcher. So
hypothetically, you could walk to the grocery store or the butcher?
Yes.
Okay. Now, another knucklehead question, but I try to always think big picture. Could I take a taxi every day if I live in the apartment and I just wanted to get into the center of town? I could hop into a cab and it wouldn't break $2. $2. So, okay. So that actually might be a cheaper option than trying to buy a scooter or buy a car. I imagine it's too new to rate. You probably didn't look into it, like the price of motorcycles or the price of cars.
$1,900 for a 120 cc engine bike.
Okay, about the same here.
Yep. Actually, Dave came up with that. When he was shopping up in Rivas or Managua, he went into a motorcycle shop and he told me $1,900 for a brand new bike.
Okay. Yeah.
Yep.
That's about what. Well, I got 150 cc's and it's running about $2,000, something like that. So yeah, very similar.
I'd get a scooter if I lived there. I'd get a scooter. That's how I get around.
Yeah, that's how I would roll too.
Yeah.
And nightlife. Let's get into that a little bit. I said it was my last question 3 questions ago.
That's why we love you, Paul.
But see, I get to play the senior card on that. You know?
That's right.
Yeah. Anyway, nightlife. Is there places that are rocking till 3 a.m? Is there?
You got bars. You got bars everywhere. You actually have casinos too. Casinos are legit. Yeah.
Right there in the little San Juan area, they have a casino.
Yep. I saw one, actually 2, and then in Managua, they're all over the place. So if you want to go up to Managua, you can have a good time. But as far as other nightlife, I don't think so. I mean, except for bars and a restaurant.
Now, in the bars, primarily couples, or is it single guys and single women? What's the dynamic?
Well, it's kind of funny too, because COVID hit that town hard too, because the cruise ships can't come in. There's no tourists really. So the bars were kind of empty. The restaurants were kind of empty, right?
Yeah.
We were like the only people in that restaurant by the beach. So there's no crowding. I mean, I didn't see any crowding anywhere. And again, I didn't see a whole lot of couples. I never saw an expat with a girl, right? That kind of thing.
You never saw an expat with a girl?
Correct. So the expats that I ran into, they didn't seem to have significant others, unless they were with, like they were a couple that came from another country, for example, right? And they're running a business. Other than that, I didn't see, some of these expats didn't really have anybody. So, but Dean says that it's there, you just didn't see it. And especially if you want more selection of women, you go to Rivas and you find them there.
Okay, makes sense.
Yeah.
The expats that you saw, were they primarily American? Were they German? Were they British, Australian?
Kind of interesting that I met, there was one English guy, one guy from Guam. There was an Australian and one American. The guy that ran the MMA gym, he's American. That's pretty much it. Like I said, I met 3 or 4 and that was it. And then I met another guy, 70-year-old black guy. He was from America, and he says he loves it there. I mean, he would never go anywhere else.
Okay. All right. We haven't touched one comment yet, but.
Is that why you get behind all the time?
Well, actually, see on this, it's like, I can either ask the questions and the guys can follow along, and I'm not ignoring them, and they know that. They've watched my streams before. So what we're doing here is we're trying to get real-time information, because there's 326 people watching right now. and 4 of those guys maybe wanting to, they're kicking the stalls, and they have sold their house and they have sold their stuff, and they're just kind of in, what's
I would
the
say
word?
go live there until the Philippines opens up.
Yeah,
That's
I
what
did
do.
a video where I said I think I would just sell my house and car and move to Mexico, but now I'm rethinking that and thinking, well, maybe I would just, if I was there right now, if I was in the position where I just turned 62, I just got my money, I had the income stream, I had everything all dialed in, my credit cards, all my shots, whatever the frig you need, the passport, all that happy stuff, and I might just go to Nicaragua. And it sounds like maybe you could live in Rivas if you want something more metropolitan.
Right. And there, I didn't see a whole lot of anything except San Juan del Sur. So, I mean, there's probably a lot of nice places. I know there's a place called Corn Island you can go to. That's a big beach island. You can go live there. There's housing developments outside the towns and stuff like that. Rivas is a little bit bigger. And then Managua, you have to really like urban city to live in Managua because it's just a big city. And any government stuff you need to do, you got to go to Managua. So
that's good to know.
Yep. And then the other thing too, I don't know if you caught this when I was talking by myself. I never had to convert money.
Right.
I used American money the whole time. Yeah.
That's huge.
Yeah.
I mean, you can go over there you can go over there, I'm sure, with 10,000 or less, right? Under 10,000.
I don't think there's. I think it's more monthly income. You have to check with Dean on that one, but I think you need to have so much money coming in per month, and then it's okay, and then you can go for a residency if you want to.
Right. Well, he's gotten into that, and it sounds fairly simple.
And he says that you can go to a convenience store, what they call AMPMs there. You can do your banking in there. You can pay bills in there. You can get money in there. So you don't even have to go to a bank if you don't want to.
I have another knucklehead question, and it's only knucklehead because I can't do it here. And for the life of me, after 4 years, I still just don't grasp it. I can't use my debit card or a credit card and tap a machine at 7-Eleven. I have to have cash. You know what I mean?
Well, no, he says you can go to machines in the AMPMs and you can get money out. So I didn't try to do that, but he says you can.
Yeah, because sometimes, how you just go for, well, in the States, you run down to the 7-Eleven, you want to get a gallon of milk and a candy bar and, I don't know, some aspirin. And I never carried more than $40 cash in my wallet the last 5 years that I lived in Vegas. Everything, because it was simpler for me to manage my money if I knew where it was going and I could see a statement every month from the bank. So if it was $3.22 for something, a pack of smokes and some gum, I would just tap my credit card, not my credit card, but my debit card. And it actually was a faster transaction, because the kid didn't have to make change. There wasn't the exchange, and it just moved things along quicker.
You can use credit cards there too. I didn't have any problem using a credit card, but I didn't try to do it in the convenience store. But, restaurants, places I went, I use a credit card, no problem.
See, again, that to me is a big benefit. That's huge.
Yep.
Because
it's all cash over there, right? I mean, they deal in cash only in the Philippines.
Well, in the big places, you can get away with a credit card, but it's a slow, painful death. It's a 10-minute operation, they swipe the card and it's like, okay, here we go. And the receipts are 4 miles long and you got to pin in codes, and then she's got to stop and she's got to redo it and look at your license and, all these maneuvers. And then she's got to write something down on something. And it adds 10 minutes to checking out if you flip a card out. I did it one time. That's
just
enough.
For a gallon of milk.
Yeah. Anyway, all right. Well, let's do this. Let's just, for the sake of those who have hung in with us, we're gonna bring your buddy up.
There he is.
Hey,
Dean.
How you guys doing? Can you all hear me?
Hola, Yurlani. ¿Cómo estás?
¿Cómo estás? Bien. She says she's doing well. Thank you. I hope you can all hear me. And Mike, thanks so much for coming down. We miss you. Everybody misses you. Your Lenny, Fabi, even Isis misses you. And of course, the girl you went out with too. Raquel.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
All right, now listen, Dean, I'm going to go take a smoke break. So you got to be on your best behavior.
Always,
I'll be back in 5 minutes. You two knuckleheads sit there and have a reunion.
Okay, great. Mike, I'm so glad you made it back safely. We truly miss you since you were down here, and thank you so much for coming on and sharing your experience with the show. And
thank you for everything you did for me.
You're very welcome. We're waiting for you to come back down here. People, we all miss you. As I said, even Isis misses you. And glad to see you made it back safely. So pretty much it was pretty much like I explained it, Mike, to the viewers. There were a lot of doubting Thomases out there who didn't believe that what I was saying was true. But now we brought an honest man down. You had
everything you said was true. Every bit of it.
You had a week in my shoes running around with me, and I enjoyed having you here. And the town is great. The women are beautiful, and I can't say enough about it. And it's very safe because a lot of people, Mike, as you know, down here, they're afraid. They're hiding under their bed. They don't want to walk out the door because they might get something out here. They have to learn to live their life, right? As they said, and there's no reason to hide. I've been down here 10 years, and my lifestyle. I'm very active. I'm running. I'm not out at night, running around looking for anything. But at the same time, I enjoy my life. I never had any problem down here in Central America, and you can go back 20 years if you consider all my run around in Costa Rica, which is right across the border. So again, that's one thing I want to let the people understand. They're not coming down here to a war zone. They're not coming down here where there's shootings like some of the other places. Every day you hear shootings, and here there's none of that. Everybody lives
safe.
Quaint
little town.
Exactly.
And even, maybe not Mayberry, but it's a quaint little town.
Right. And Rivas, as you said, if they want a little bit bigger town, you would suggest going to Rivas.
Yeah.
Right. And how about those apartments we went to for $300, where I actually lived for 8 years for $300? How can you beat that, Mike?
That's the one I would go for if I went down there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And it's a little, again, my place is a couple dollars more. It's a little bigger. I have room here in my garden for Isis to run around, a little bit more room for the rotation girls. You know how things are down here. And the hotel you stayed in was 5 stars. 5 stars.
American standards.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And for $99, you can. I don't think that was unreasonable. But again, you can feel comfortable in another hotel, maybe for a lot less. Or
and nice breakfast included in the price, and the beach is right across the street.
Yeah. Right, and then just trying to think. So we did so many things. And how about the other place we went to? So there's somebody who was maybe coming down here not too worried about the expenses. Where we went to Santa Maria, the big high rise.
If I could afford it, I would live there.
There you go. Yeah, and it was only $800. I think they had studios at $800. And
studios at $800, and then the 2-bedroom was $1,100.
Right, I included that all in there in my my latest video, as well as your date. If you go back to the last 2 videos in my channel, Pure Alpha Life, and I know most of these viewers are subscribers of my channel and viewers. You can see we went to see the $300 apartment. Mike, we went to see we went to Palermo, but we couldn't really get in. But at least we got to see the grounds. And then and then we went to the grocery store, and we went to the market, and we met Isaac, who actually I was so proud when he says, he never experienced any racism down here whatsoever, and he did it in America. He felt being a black man, sometimes people held that against him. He says this is the only place he's been where he doesn't feel that at all. People are colorblind here in that respect, where they accept everybody, not important what your race is, nothing like that. And I feel real proud about my country, Nicaragua, and it has that reputation of not having any racism here whatsoever. And you could see that.
I felt like a local when I was there.
Exactly. And nobody holds anything. And another thing the guys were saying, well, the age gap, as you saw, there was nothing wrong with the age gap. Now you're a good-looking 60-year-old man. You never guess it, but can you see? Let's see if I can show. That was the girl you went out with, Raquel. That's her. You recognize her?
Oh yeah.
Everything went good. We had a beautiful evening. And
we talk every day.
I know she's good for as her best friend. She's saying she can't wait for you to come down here, and she was actually kind of sad you left, but at least you were able to catch that on the back end. It gives you something forward to look at on the front end here. And when we went out, how would you compare Raquel to an American girl? Let's say you find
no contest at all.
Right, you find it
just that if I could speak Spanish, I would know her better. That's the only thing.
Well, you will get to, and I think we went along the whole night with everybody talking back and forth, and everything went so smooth. There's no tension. There's no ice walls to break down with her. She was more
great.
than happy.
We laughed a lot.
We had a great night when we went out. We really did. We were out till like midnight. We would have stayed out longer, but you had to catch your flight in the morning. We don't want you to.
There comes Paul.
There he comes. That was a quick smoke, Paul. You must be getting faster at puffing on this.
Are you kidding?
Cigarettes.
I just ate it. I didn't even light it up.
Right.
It all.
To prevent damage control.
What I want to do, boys and girls, is leave you both up here. I want to get to some comments.
Okay.
So I can only go so far. I'm going to be going. I'm going to be missing tons, and we'll never get through them all because guys have been chatting throughout the whole thing, and I honestly haven't been paying much attention to them. So let's go to a comment here. So Daryl, he would like to know, Mike. He says he's been studying martial arts for 26 years. He's a black belt 7th degree.
I have a black belt in Taekwondo and a 7th degree black belt in Ishinru Karate, among other things.
So safety really isn't an issue for you anyway.
Not when you're with Dean. I mean, Dean's a big guy. You don't realize how big he is, but he's actually a little taller than I am. I'm 6'1".
Wow.
Big and handsome, Mike. You forgot to say handsome.
We talking about me or you?
People say we look alike. People thought you were my brother or something. You're right. They really did. They said, "Is that your brother?" A couple of people came up to the street and said, "Is that your brother or cousin or something like that?" Yeah.
All right. Let me see if I can find another comment here. That's a question. Let's see. You guys can see business. A little bit about business. Can you shed a little light on that, Dean? As far as, let's say I go down there and I want to open up a yo-yo store.
Okay.
Do I need licensing? Is it, where am I at?
It's very, very easy when you come down here. Again, things change from time to time, but the experience that I have is that if you can go in, even just having a passport, not even being a resident, and you can rent a place. A lot of times, like a bar I have experience with, the bar licenses was in the owner's name, and they can just transfer it to you. It's not a whole having to go through this whole state liquor control board or whatever it might be these days. In the States, it's very easy to run somebody's business or take over the lease, and that's how a lot of these businesses are ran down here. A local might own the actual establishment on the beach or something like that, and you can just step right in and take over and they don't really come around. And you just get a little. You actually work off their permits. And it's not really important that you're not the same person whose photos on the permit. As long as they give you permission, you're good. And as long as you don't do anything foolish like any place else, you're not going to have a problem with it. Mm-hmm.
So there's no shakedowns or anything.
No. They never shake it down. They used to come in with a checkboard. And I'd give them a glass of water, and they didn't want to take that. They might come in once a month just to make sure the license are in order. They never asked for a peso, not $1. I'd say, guys, you want to if you're in the stores, have something. No, they're not even interested. They're very, very honest people here, and they're not looking to shake you down for anything.
All right. Well, Paul's asking, there are a lot of cabs and or trikes.
Oh, a lot of cabs. The trikes are in Managua, though. I didn't see any trikes in San Juan del Sur.
Yeah, you have
motorcycle taxis.
But what you do have a lot in Rivas is papanos, which is like a little. It's ran by it's a bicycle, and it's in one of my videos in Pure Alpha Life. You can see where we run around on one of the bicycle ran taxis. But no, there's mostly cars here. And in Granada, you'll see, like you probably saw, Mike, you told me when you came in from the airport through Granada, you saw like a little motor taxi, which is like a little kind of something that you see in the Philippines.
3 wheels.
Right, 3 wheels.
3 wheels, and they go like 5 miles an hour.
Right. Uh-huh.
All right,
and they back traffic up really bad because they drive on the highway.
Right.
Crazy.
But you notice down here, Mike, everybody's very patient, and you don't have a hostile person that, like in the States, some old man thinks he's like the traffic enforcer, and you're speeding, you can't go down that road. Here, if you can go down, you go down. Nobody loses their patience. Everybody's very level-headed here.
Oh, they're very safe. The driving is very
safe. Yeah, very safe. And if you do go down a little one way, nobody's pointing a finger at you or the middle finger. None of that. Everybody's so nice and relaxed. And I think that says a lot about the culture here, because they're not hostile people. They're not filled with all kinds of anger and rage. And right here, it's a very, very, very laid back lifestyle, and that shows in their people. It shows in their habits. It shows in things don't make them angry because they're enjoying life. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree with Gary here. I think Mike, you did an awesome job. Very succinct, to the point. You know, I didn't feel like there was any fluff. You were just giving your viewpoints. And
a shout out to Dean for helping me get all that information, because without him I couldn't have done it.
Oh, it was a pleasure. I'm happy to have you down here. Anybody else who likes to come down, I always have my email after all my videos in Pure Alpha Life. I have my email and everything there, so I'm easy to get a hold of.
Dean's like the Energizer Bunny, isn't he?
He's like that in real life too.
Right. The sexy senoritas keep my energy level up.
I get the feeling like if I was to hang out with Dean for an hour, I'd just be exhausted. You know?
Mike? How'd you feel hanging out with me? You felt good. You're right.
I actually wore him out. Can you believe that?
Did. Yes,
yeah, I wore him out.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Are there many swimming pools available there?
For me or from very many. How about when we went to Palermo? You saw the beautiful swimming pool there, Tree Casa, Surf Ranch, many pools in there. If you go there, you consume $10. They don't even ask you for anything. But there are many swimming pools. Even your hotel had a beautiful swimming pool. Even though I know you
had a swimming pool. But as far as the locals and their how they live, I don't think they had swimming pools.
No. Very few houses will have swimming pools. I wouldn't even want one here. Yeah, no.
You're welcome, Dave. Anytime.
Okay, here we go. I think we already did this. Oh yeah, we already did. But we'll repeat it. Credit cards, easy to use.
Yeah.
I have a question for you, Dean. What about 7-Eleven? Can you use your debit card?
Yes, I think Dave even made a comment. Dave Southend, who's still down here. Yeah, you can use a credit card. In fact, they don't have to deal with change or anything. You can buy one little item. Just run your credit card through, and credit cards are very accepted all places down here. And it's a lot easier because you actually get the interbank rate instead of. Well, even though the AM, PM, or what you call a 7-Eleven, they give you the best rate in town anyways. They'll give you the bank rate. So yes, to answer your question, you can use it. And if you pay in dollars, they'll pay you back the change exactly in the local currency, which is Cordoba, which people ask, it's 34.65 to $1.
Okay.
And they give you the better exchange rates in the convenience store, believe it or not.
Yes, they do.
Let's see. I'm just going through the comments, kids. What about a $600 apartment, Dean?
Okay, $600 apartment is like Mike, where we went to. $600. Once you break over that, say $400 or $500 level, that's when you'll see like more of a luxury type apartment. Once you break that threshold, you'll really notice the difference. And those will be in communities where you can live with a pool, and communities where they have maybe a restaurant, and even that $800 place. If you remember, Mike, over in Santa Maria, you had the studios that were going for $800, and then you can go.
We talked about that.
And if you see, they had clubhouses, restaurants. It was really luxury living. As soon as you break over that $400 or $500 threshold, you'll notice a big difference in living standards.
My standards are high, Paul, and that $350 apartment would have been perfectly fine to me.
I was there for 8 years, and I loved every minute of it. The only reason I left is because not enough room for the rotation girls and Isis.
Gotcha. All right, so this is for me, Roy Good. I was in Dumaguete 3 times for a month each. Beautiful countryside, but I could not live there long term. Yeah, that's to each his own, and it's kind of sleepy here. There's not a lot of nightlife. There's not a lot of hoochie-coochie. There's no prostitution or any of that kind of stuff. But that's available in other places in the Philippines, that kind of life. So I have always found Dumaguete to be good because there's 3 different departure routes. I could take a ferry, a plane, or a bus.
He's got his escape route planned.
I have my escape route planned. It's I've always referred to Dumaguete as base camp for a lot of guys. They can come out here, they can rent a place for half of what I pay. They can park their stuff. It's nothing fancy, but these guys are traveling. They want to go to this island, this place, that place. And then they just come back here, basically just to, rest up, do their business, transfer their money, get themselves reorganized, and then they take off again. I think Dumaguete is really good for older guys like myself who lead a much slower lifestyle. as opposed to someone that's 10 or 20 or 30 years younger than me that wants to bounce. You know, they want to go to Cebu and all that kind of stuff. So appreciate the question or the statement, Roy. Let's see here. Let's see. There's a lot of questions about your headliner, Dean.
I just got the mirror. Remember, Mike, my mirror was knocked off in my last video that's going out tomorrow, which was an emergency broadcast. I got the passenger side mirror replaced, and by my neighbor here, I got that taken care of. And then we just have to get that liner, but it's just a question of when I'm going to be stationary enough to let the guy have the car all day. You know, we run around like gypsies all day long, so I don't want to leave my car with anybody.
Let him have it on Sunday.
If the guys want to work on Sunday, that might be a church day.
Okay, would a Nicaraguan woman be okay with a heavy-set white man?
I've seen it a lot. I've seen it a lot. Yeah, you can't really give again. You'd be fine. It all depends on the lady too. Of course, there's I see heavy-set people with thinner people here, and they're not going to discriminate against you. It's more or less the way you treat them here. Once you agree, Mike, you saw how these people interact with each other. They're not going to.
That's what Raquel said. She's more interested in how the man treats her than what he looks like.
Right.
And that's 21-year-old girl talking.
Exactly. So you pay up into the 30s, you're not going to have any. You're not going to have a hard time.
Let's see. Oh, here we go. This is a good question I never asked. Tom, what about dentist prices and services?
Okay. My dentist, who was actually one of the best, he's in Rivas, and he was trained in Miami. He had his training in Miami, and all his equipment's new. I got cavities filled for $30, and cleaning. They can do laser cleaning. In fact, they actually did some extractions here. If you saw, I had some extractions done a couple years ago. That's why I had a little separation here, and that leads me to break. But I knew that was going to happen. He says, Dean, I can do an extraction, but you're going to get a little gaffy in your teeth down the road. I said, just go ahead and do it. But that brings me to another thing. That brings me to orthodontic care. And as you guys who watch my channel, Pure Alpha Life, know, the sexy Yerlani has a beautiful smile. She had teeth that were a little crooked, and she has such a beautiful body, such a good personality, and she works for Cosmetic Sophia, and she has an income. So I said, listen, why don't we go to the orthodontics office in Rivas, and you can get it done. And you know how much orthodontics care costs for her? To have the braces, it's $30 a month with nothing up front. It's a 2.5-year program. So if you take that out, so let's say it's 2 years. So what's that, $700 payable at $30 each month? And if for any reason she doesn't go for a month, she doesn't get charged for it. But she likes to get tightening down and everything. So dentistry or dentist appointments are very, very inexpensive. I have my teeth taken care of here. I know some people travel here just for that. They have I actually had I didn't. But I know that was in the States. But somebody had a root canal job done down here. Very, very inexpensive. I don't think it broke over $100. And but the offices are clean. I had the orthodontics office, and it came out in one of my last videos in Pure Alpha Life, where I actually went with her to the orthodontics office. And again, no complaint. She's happy with it. I can't believe how good her results are, because her teeth were a little turned in, but now they're straight, and we're only 4 months into this orthodontic treatment.
Okay, so braces and things like that are very affordable.
Very inexpensive, very affordable. And the most important thing, it's very good care, because if something's inexpensive, it doesn't matter if it's bad treatment, it's not worth a nickel. But yes, and
there's a big difference.
By the way, to defend it, the Alpha Life, she pays for her own braces. He's not paying for it.
There you go. She does. There you go.
Big difference between being cheap and being inexpensive. They've got two different differences.
Right. That's what we talked about. Remember?
Yeah, we don't say cheap anymore. Everything is inexpensive.
Right.
All right. My friend Richard Guthrie, he used to be my neighbor, and then he had to go back to America, wants to know, what are the requirements to enter?
You need a COVID test, and you have to get a $10 visa when you go through customs.
Now, how old can the COVID test be?
You have to have it within 72 hours, but the kicker is the airline, Avianca, that I flew, they want to see that test results a day and a half before you fly. So I was a little bit stressed out about getting that timeline right. And then when I got to the airport, they didn't care. They just said, oh, you're within 72 hours. Go ahead. It was just like no big deal.
Yeah, I think I'm going to do a video about this. So I haven't done a video in over a week, but jacking around with May and her sister's channels, which is fine. But there's a lot of guys here that have to get out of here. Their visas are expiring. They've got family issues at home, yada, yada, yada. They're nervous on two fronts. Number one, they take a COVID test. If it comes up positive, they just haul you off and you go straight to quarantine.
Yeah, we saw Rike's video on that one.
there's one that'll put you on the brakes on right there.
Yes.
So just for an incremental trip somewhere, I'm not going to risk that, to spend 2 weeks in some slum that they've got set up. And I won't belabor that. The other thing is these guys are getting their COVID test. So that 72-hour window, and then their flight gets canceled. And it falls into the next day now. And they've got to go rent a hotel room and do all this whoopla. Are you experiencing that in America as far as the flights and everything? Are they being
my whole flights were uneventful, on time, no problems, nothing.
Okay, well that's huge. I'm confident. I see on the news when I watch the news, there's some sort of meltdown going on, but I think those are sporadic. So right now, Mike, would you say that everything's functioning fairly efficiency-wise as far as the airlines and travel in the States?
It's funny. The Hispanic airline, Avianca, was more well-run than American that I took from North Carolina to Miami.
I believe that.
They're very efficient. They're very efficient in Nicaragua. I mean, I was amazed at how the hospital was run and how, when you get through the airport, it was absolutely wonderful. More problems in the United States. Miami is like one of the worst airports in the country. I don't care what anybody says. It's very poorly run. Confusing airport to get to the different terminals and everything. But
in Miami,
still, with all that uneventful, I had no problems with anything.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. All right, kids, we're going to wrap it up. We've been on for an hour and a half. Anything anybody wants to say? I've got comments here, but I'm really looking for questions because I want it to be informative as possible. And it's all cool. I love the comments. We don't filter any of them here. And
I'm willing to come on any other time, Paul, if they have other questions if they want to know.
Oh, by the way, how's Dave doing? Because I think he felt a little mistreated on the live show with me. Is he okay?
Yeah, he didn't say anything to me. He didn't say anything. He felt mistreated. I think maybe you were thinking that, but not at all. I just spoke to him, in fact, today, and I know he's here watching the show. So, Dave, if you're there, send us a comment and tell us.
Yeah, hit me up. I'd like to talk to him again and get his take on how he's doing. I'd like to have him back on because he's been out there for how long now?
Almost 2 months since her beauty contest was, and that was like almost.
He's got a different perspective than I do.
Does he?
He's a social guy. He likes to party a little bit, and I'm not like that at all. So he can give you a different perspective.
I would love that. Yeah. I've always liked to get a variety of opinions because we're not all made alike. It's like I was just saying, I'm an older guy, so all the nightclub and stuff and all that, man, I burned through that really well when I was in my 20s. Maybe better than others have, but that's in my past. It's in my rearview mirror. And I have to always look forward, especially at my age, because every day counts. So that being said, you're looking to get the most bang for your buck. I think the medical, the hospital deal about it being free was huge. I don't know if you covered this or not, but like I said, I'm a senior citizen and I forget stuff all the time. What was your impression of the facility, of the hospital?
Clean, organized, and they had it. If you say you're going in for a COVID test, they have these little decals on the ground to direct you where you're supposed to go, and they must have had a mile's worth of them. You can't get lost. Everybody was helpful. There were different checkpoints. I was amazed at how a country that's supposedly so poor runs so much better than America does in a lot of ways.
And Mike, didn't you say that you said that when you're here, you don't feel like there's extreme poverty? You don't feel like people are desperate or panhandling. You don't feel that
no
stress.
panhandlers, and everybody's well fed.
And
like
well,
I told Paul
and they
earlier,
have nice presentation. They're usually they have clean clothes, and you don't feel that poverty like like you said
No,
you
not
might
at
feel
all.
in some other countries, like people desperate. You don't feel that. Not that there's wrong with people being poor, but what I'm saying is here you don't feel like you don't feel like gross poverty. I guess I don't know how to really say, but you don't feel extreme poverty. I should say everybody seems
Right.
like they're getting along, they're surviving, they're doing okay, they're going to school, they're going to work, they do well. Nobody's really desperate.
Right.
Yeah, I think outside the U.S. in a lot of these countries, there's just a bigger sense of community.
Right, exactly. Well said.
I've always felt the biggest degree of racism was economic, as opposed to religious or skin color.
Very
or
right.
Outlook in life. I've always felt that was the greatest division.
Exactly.
That's where I think racism really checks in. But that's a whole other conversation. All right, let's see. Let's see if we got a couple more comments, and then we'll bail out of here.
We can go all night, Phil. You know that.
Who's Phil?
Oh, I was calling you Mike. I was calling you Dave. Remember?
He called me Dave a couple times. Dave and I look nothing alike.
Right? Don't get upset. I get the girl's name confused. You know that.
Dean loves me.
Your
so
lady's
much.
gonna Paul. Your lady's gonna kill him. There's no question in my mind. She's gonna.
How's
kill
that?
him.
The people want to hear. She's
Your
jealous.
lady.
She's jealous, right?
Yes.
Right.
All right. So here's a question. Are the police there are corrupt? You can write them if something goes wrong for travel. I don't know I think the question is, are the police corrupt?
No, I never had any problem. They never looked for a handout, never looked to bury a ticket for giving them something. And you don't have really much police interactions here. Every now and then they want to just
They didn't bother anybody when I was there.
Right. They just want to check to see if you have a license or insurance. And that's really good for the other motorists to make sure that the other people who ride and have insurance in case you get into a wreck with them. But they're not on a power trip. And if you see in our last video, we went down to where the beach was, and you see the police. And these are guys that you could, if they weren't on duty, they'd go have a drink with you. They're not some kid on a power trip, that gets a fancy car and says, "Stop there, don't go there. Who are you doing? What's your ID?" They're not like that. These guys are really down to earth, and I know some of them. And they're great guys, just like anybody else here. And the police here, everybody says, no, this Nicaraguan police are going to try to steal from you. No, they're not. They're here. You just call them if you need help. Otherwise, they don't want to interfere in your life, and that's it. But every interaction I had with the guys, it was always friendly, nice, just like anybody else you have down here. They're not looking to take a couple pesos off you because you ran through it, and they don't even really enforce the traffic law. They're not really strict. Let's put it that way. They're strict. As long as you don't hurt anybody down here, you're going to be fine. And
they will have a beer with you, though.
What's that?
They will have a beer with you.
They will have a beer with you off duty. And here's another thing: like some places say, well, in Honduras, supposedly they only solve 1% of the murders or something like that. If anything down here happens, they're gonna get you. You're not gonna get away with anything. They have a very good police force, very good investigation techniques, and I see it. One if somebody gets in something, the next day they're locked up. They're not going to be.
I have a question for you. What about gun laws down there? Can I own a gun?
Okay, and again, I can't get. This is just my experience from what I heard. This isn't advice, but what I heard is, in fact, my dentist, as we were talking about, he's a gun collector, and he says, yeah, all he does is he went to like the police, and he actually gets a license for each gun. So not like a concealed weapons permit where you have one permit, and each gun, let's say he has like a Taurus, for instance, 38. He'll get a license for that one, and then it says he can carry that and conceal it and use it for his protection. And then if he decides to get another gun, and I guess the first one, like anything, the first one's a little bit of a process, and then after that, so yeah. But you don't really see a whole lot of guns down here. The only people you see with guns, of course, is the police, and then sometimes the bank has their own private people out there. But it's not machine guns; it's just a little something to protect them. So, but other than that, none of my friends here even own guns or even talk about it. And you don't hear, the only thing you hear going off is maybe a firework. But there's no gunplay down here. There really isn't. The guns are
Yes,
if they're
it
in
does.
somebody's hands, they're in the hands of somebody responsible because you don't hear about it.
Does Google Translate work there?
Yes, it does.
He would know. I don't know. I don't use it.
Back to the gun thing, Paul, I asked about that too. And according to what they told me is, yes, you can own a gun there, but if you're a foreigner, you can't carry one.
Okay.
So
I have my
you can have one in your domicile.
Yes, but you can't carry it.
That's fair.
But if you get residency, you
if
can.
someone is breaking through your front door, you're allowed to use the firearm?
Mm-hmm. You can defend your. Yeah, you can defend your. I have residency, so I'm not really into guns. But if I want to, I talk to
I know a lot of guys are.
So right. With my residency, yeah, I can get a concealed weapons permit.
You need them here.
Yeah, you need them here, but here. No, I would never even think. It's never in a threatening situation.
Okay, so Goldfinger, my buddy, I got to have a conversation with him. By the way, I got to have a conversation with Goldfinger for a second, boys. But your raft, your oars, your life vest, and the pump went to May's brother, and it's probably at a pawn shop right now. He lives in the God bless him, the May's brother, young kid. He lives with his wife and child in pretty much the free rent district, we like to call it, and they're struggling a lot. So Goldfinger, you should feel good right now, buddy. The raft and all this stuff I'm talking about Balak buying boxes, which you guys may not even know about, but it went to a good cause, so you know. And then we did release a lot of other stuff, such as vitamins and whatnot out to the community, and so things are going good, buddy. Anyway, that was my private conversation with Goldfinger. Let's see. Here we go. This is kind of cool. All very positive, great. And I agree with Roy on this one. Let's get the flip side, okay? What's the worst experience, Dean, that you've had? And just be transparent. It's okay to not be okay.
Yeah, let's see. I would say it's not a problem. It just takes getting used to it. And maybe Mike can tell you things again. Time isn't like of the essence here, where if somebody says, I'll be over in the afternoon to do something, they say, well, what time in the afternoon? 2:00. And they say, no, the afternoon. So you have to learn patience here. I would say that's the only thing, the worst, and that's not even a bad experience, but the worst thing here is you have to learn. I've been down here, remember, in Central America 20 years, so I'm used to it. But other than that, I would say one of the big stressors of somebody is time is a little different idea here. People aren't going to be there as prompt as you'd expected. And some things you have to wait, and some things aren't. If you have a type A personality, as I said, and you want everything just this way, don't come down, because it's not going to work that way. You're going to get frustrated. And I've seen a lot of guys come down here with type A personalities. They want to change a culture, and you can't ever do that. And they find themselves drinking. And some of them go home, or some of them get shipped home in a box because they medicate themselves to try to change a society. They've been this way since we got here. They'll be this way after we leave. So you can't change. You can't change a society. You have to adapt. And if you can do that, you'll be great.
Yeah, sage advice, my friend.
Mm-hmm.
Gotta learn acceptance.
I have seen the exact same thing operate down here. It's famous. Filipina time is one of the big catchphrases here. I ask people, when are you going to be here? And they say after lunch.
Right. Yeah.
I have no idea what time lunch is. So it's still very ambiguous.
Right.
You know? And so what I have learned to do, Dean, is just figure they're not even going to show up.
Exactly. That's what I do. So you're pleasantly surprised that they show up.
Move on I used to think, okay, I got to be home by 2:00. No. It's when he starts dinging my phone asking where I am.
That's when you move. Right.
The way to do it. Okay, you wait 15 minutes back.
Exactly.
Then we'll go to work. All right.
Right.
So I just figure they're not going to be here.
That's how I am.
With my day, and I don't stress about it. But in the beginning, it's really a bitch.
Right.
You're just trying to, because I brought with me a sense of urgency, which has dissipated greatly over the last 4 years, because everything in my job was urgent. It had to get done 10 minutes ago. I was on a deadline. I was on a schedule. If I didn't get this friggin' thing upstairs by 5:00, so-and-so wasn't going to get paid, or Mrs. Bonus, or all this stuff. And I brought all that stuff with me. Quick story. My first week here in the Philippines, over 4 years ago, I was at a Starbucks type of place. And I ordered my coffee, and I didn't even realize I was doing it. But I stood there watching the girl, and I was tapping the counter, like I really needed her to speed up and she just stopped and said, "Are you in a really big hurry?"
Right.
And I said, "You know what? I am so sorry. I didn't even know I was doing that." But that was my mentality when I got here, and how it shifted into this whole, just more of a laid back, relaxed. Time is not really of the essence unless I'm laying on the operating table. That's the only time I want everybody to be on par.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
So speaking of operating tables, if someone were to suffer a stroke, a heart attack, a broken leg, something to that degree, do you sincerely feel that the doctors there are qualified to treat that? I mean, could they get you in and get you a stent? I had a heart attack in 2010. From the time my heart attack started, from the ambulance ride to getting the stent was right about an hour. Mm-hmm. I mean, they had me in, stripped down, hooked up in the room. The doctor came in, went in through my groin, did his thing, looked at the x-ray, boom, my heart was fixed. Mm-hmm. Is that kind of level there in Nicaragua?
Yeah, I can start with the training. And as many of you guys know, this sexy Yerleni is in medical school herself. So it's actually a 5-year program. And I looked in, they have everything that you'd expect these kids that touch down on all the topics. And then after that, so she has 5 years. If she wants to become a specialist, she'll have to go 2 more years or a year and a half. So you have a lot of schooling into these training of these physicians or these upcoming physicians. And as far as the equipment, I went over to, I was in the local hospital here, and I went in there with somebody who just had their arm, they just wanted an x-ray done, and the machine, the radiology, everything was state of the art. Everything was digital. A lot of people have the idea like living over here is like living on Gilligan's Island or in the Flintstones, and that's not the case at all. And Mike can tell you everything's very advanced. Even the dentist office, everything you get. So if you can actually, and if you wanted to get even higher standards than that, you could. There's Casapella Hospital and a lot of the hospitals in Managua that would you think you were back in the States in Las Vegas where you're from, and again there would be. You're not gonna feel as though you're not getting good medical care, good medical treatment. And I know.
What about loud noises? Like here in the Philippines, I experience barking dogs.
Okay.
I experience karaoke. I experience a rooster every morning. And I experience loud vehicles every day, nonstop, 365, and usually it mellows out at 9 o'clock at night. But does that exist at, say, the $350 apartment?
You might have, there might be some in any type of neighborhood. You might have some roosters or or the gallinas. What do you call it? The females crowing or whatever that is. And where I actually have here outside, the biggest noise I have is, and this could be if you're living in anywhere. I have the howler monkeys sometimes that they're shouting at each other, but it's just in the morning and they're neat to see outside in the trees. But then they go away anyway. So any type of Latino community, you're gonna have some noise, but there's really no music issues. And your neighbor, if they're playing loud music, they wouldn't be upset if you said, "Hey, can you turn it down a little bit?" Anything like that. But as far as anything else, it just depends. But even in the $350 and the $350 apartments or $300 apartments, they were all steel, or they were all the concrete walls. So when I lived in there, I closed the door. It was like being in a tomb. You didn't hear anything because they're so well built, so solid. There's no real drywall used. Even the inner walls are made out of a solid concrete. So therefore, it really is like being in a tomb. You won't even hear if your neighbor was screaming for you.
All right, everybody wants to know how one of your girlfriends there is doing.
¿Cómo estás, Yerleni?
She can't hear, but I'll tell her, ¿Cómo estás bien? She said she's doing good. She's doing good. Thank you for asking, Gary.
Let's see. All right, so there's kind of a generalized statement. Grumpy Dude Bryant, another friend of the channel, It's all relative. I love the U.S., but I love the Philippines and Costa Rica more, retiring into my golden years. So that's kind of a statement, but we appreciate that.
He likes Costa
Let's see.
Rica. He loves Nicaragua.
Here's a very good question. How about the prices and quality of medicines there?
Okay, I'll take that question, Ronald. Thanks for asking. In fact, I'm doing a special on that this coming week, where what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the pharmacies here, and I want you guys over my channel to send me what kind of medications you're on. If you're an insulin dependent, if you take any type of pills for high blood pressure, you have guys who want to know about Viagra, guys who are on RTR, testosterone replacement therapy, all that. Send that to me, because I'm going to include that. So when I go to one pharmacy and I ask the pretty little girl who's working there named Vanessa, I want to go down the prices of what this would cost you if you were here. But I can tell you they have they have real good generic and name brand medications. Everything's very available. If not, they can get it here from Managua within the next day or two. And you'll find most things are just a couple dollars. You're not going to go in the pharmacy and drop $100. You're going to go in there maybe with $10 or $15 and get everything you need. Generally speaking, of course, there's always exceptions for things, but the medicine, and in fact, if you're in the hospital and their in-house pharmacy can take care of you, they'll give you the medication for nothing, for free. It will be absolutely free. But if they don't have it, or you don't go to the hospital, you can get most things for, again, a couple dollars. It's not going to break you. You're not going to see a vial of whatever it might cost for whatever it could cost in the U.S.
One question that guys may have for you, Dean, I'll preempt you on this, is I got this a lot when I first got over here. A lot of guys were asking me about pain medications and things that might have a certain classification as a narcotic. So I forget the name of them. Oxycodone, Valium, Loratabs, what the hell is the other one? Anyway, you get my drift.
Like diazepam, lorazepam.
Yeah, that's it. That's the one I'm thinking about.
Yeah.
Is that they're going to want to know, or you may already know, is that available? Do you have to have a special prescription? Or
It is. Maybe the rule book says there should be a prescription, but I know a lot of the foreigners do come down here if they can't sleep at night. You can go right into these places. They're not asking you for if you're buying 1,000 of them, they might say, well, why do you need so many? But if you're just saying, give me a little sliver of 10 pills, they're not the least bit concerned. They'll give it to you. They're not saying, why do you need this? But you can get, there's like tramadol, something like that. If guys are have some type of a pain issue, you can get that. And it's not even overabused here. And like, I know there's a big Oxycontin problem in the U.S. You don't see that here. The people don't buy medicine here if they don't need it. They're not hanging out or send it. Yeah.
I think the major thrust is guys aren't worried about going in and buying 1,000. That's not their vibe.
Right.
But they are using it. It is part of their daily life. They've got chronic pain.
Right. They can get all that.
And I think what they want to know, I know that they ask me, they don't care about the prescription.
No.
They'll go to a doctor, but they just want to know if it's available.
Right. It's available, and I don't think they'd ask you for a prescription. Again, you just go in, and it's very inexpensive. And
okay.
It is available for you. And if they don't have it there, they'll get it sent right in probably the same day if they have like a parent pharmacy. But you can get any type of a painkiller you might need, or if you need something to help you go to sleep at night. That's all very, very available here if you want it.
Pharmacy looked very well stocked when we went in it.
In Rivas, they're even better.
And I'm going to make an assumption here, but you said everything's inexpensive. I found that here in the Philippines, and I just got a great big box of this stuff from Goldfinger. Again, hats off to Goldfinger. But vitamins, multivitamins, minerals, things such as that nature, super expensive here in the Philippines because it's all imported. But can I assume that a good multivitamin is reasonably priced there?
Yes, I would say a little reasonable, but you're going to be paying a little bit more than the same type of thing you'd be paying in Walmart because, of course, a lot of them are imported. So you could get the vitamin, the multivitamin. You might pay maybe 20% more because, again, they have to pay import tax themselves, and they have to make a little something. But they're not going to knock you. The price isn't going to knock you out. But most of the pharmaceuticals, and not only the pharmaceuticals, they have nice generics. So if you say I'm taking this name brand, you can get the generic. Like for instance, like for instance, those pills you were talking about, a pill to go to sleep, you can get a little roll of 10 of them. I think it might be like, I don't know, like $3 maybe. So what's that?
Okay.
30 cents a pill. Is that right? 30 times 10. Yeah. Like 30 cents. So it's not going to be, it's not going to cost you a lot, but yes, you can get vitamins down here. The pharmacies sometimes don't carry vitamins, but there are a lot of holistic places that do carry.
There was a sign out there I saw advertising vitamins when we
right,
were near the grocery store.
Right.
And the things like toothpaste and deodorant are expensive.
A little bit more. Remember, Mike, you saw when we went to the grocery store, you saw one for $4, but then I said, let's go look a little deeper. And there was one that came with a toothbrush for like $2.
Change.
Right.
$1 and change.
So if you just dig a little deeper, you'll find the deals. Deodorant maybe like 10% more than you pay. But again, there's then the 99-cent store, say for instance. But there's few times that you buy it, everything else offsets it. So again, if the deodorant's a little bit more, what do you buy? A stick every 10 days, 15 days? And so I won't really worry about that because the daily staples are you make up so much more for it because everything else is more expensive. So if you get clipped a little bit here or there, it's really insignificant.
For the guys that drink, and there are guys that it's their career to come here or there to drink. And
right.
You know what? I always tell a guy, follow your bliss. So I don't judge them. If that's what they want to do, they want to sit there from 9 to 9 and pound them. Okay, that's your bliss.
We priced alcohol when we were there.
Right. Remember what it was, Mike?
Story on the alcohol.
You remember what it was for the?
How much
it was like wasn't it like a buck for a 12-ounce can of beer?
Yeah, a little cheaper
6-pack
in the grocery store.
Yeah, $6 for a 6-pack.
I think it was like $5.40 is what we calculated it out to be. But then, if you remember, Mike, we looked at the Flor de Caña, which is the local rum here, and if you remember, we could get a liter, 1,000 milliliter. We get a liter, which is a pretty decent sized bottle. We could get that if it was aged 5 years. We could get that at, I think $7 was it for a big bottle.
$7 or $8.
And if you wanted to get the one that was aged a little bit more, like 2 more years, aged 7 years, that was only going to bounce you up $3 more or something like that.
Well, I think it was $12 and change for the one that was aged longer, wasn't it? $12 and change.
I think, and it was in our last video, a Pure Alpha Life. I think $7 or up to $10. But there could have been one more that was aged maybe 12 years, and maybe that was the one you're talking about.
Okay, so but the basic thing is you can get a beer for $1.
Exactly.
You buy cheap rum. Okay.
Right.
What about power outages? Is that a normal occurrence? Never happen? Like I had a brownout yesterday, and I think Dean just had one.
That was a joke. That was
a bad joke.
I tried, but he enjoyed it. Listen, again, not too many. One time not too long ago, we had a blackout, but it wasn't just here in Nicaragua. It was from Guatemala, I think, down to Panama, and they had it fixed relatively quickly. If you remember the one video, that's when we had a blackout here. So she and I went to a love motel. That's included in one of my videos in the Pure Alpha Life series. But no, you do have some blackouts here. But again, it comes on and off relatively fast, and the refrigerators are made for that blackout, so you're not gonna have a food spoilage if you're out that long. But again, when I first came down here, going back 10 years ago, there were more. But I think like anything, it got better and better. There's more substations going up. So if it happens, maybe that one time, twice this week, it's only for a couple minutes, and the lights usually seem to come right back on.
Alan wants to know what the price of smokes are. You guys don't smoke.
No, but I look at prices just out of curiosity. I think a pack, even like what's the Marlboro pack of cigarettes there that you notice, and they actually have some local brands too. I think they are like I think there might be 20. It looks a little smaller than like what you'd see the pack of cigarettes in the States. Let's say that they come in 10, maybe 12, a dozen, and it's like $1. It's like $1, even for names that you would recognize. Mm-hmm.
Okay. What about marijuana laws?
I hear the best I know, because that's really something that I don't have any. They're strict, and they don't. Right now, at the current time, the best I know is they're strict, and these kids don't even really smoke it. I don't know any of the kids that even indulge themselves in it. Not that it's wrong, but again, that's just my experience. And any other drug that would be harder, that would be that would be even tougher than that. You know, they'd be strict on.
I only saw the expats drinking too. I didn't see the locals drinking.
But you didn't, Mike. You didn't see anybody walking around look like they were stoned out of their mind or coked out.
Well, no, that one drunk lady that walked by us. Remember the one that thought we were brothers?
Drunk. She was
pretty snockered up.
Right, but I don't think she wasn't. What do they call when people do meth? They're like having a skits out, or tweaking. She wasn't tweaking. Yeah.
Every city, every country is going to have that. There's no
yeah.
Hey, Paul, going back before you answer this question, going back to the power outage thing. I asked about that, and they said that they're starting their rainy season now. When it gets to be about October, there's a lot of rain, and they said that they experience power outages in around that time frame, and the hurricanes can come in at that time too.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder how long a power outage is. I mean, is it a 5-minute deal or a 5-day deal?
No, we never had a 5-day one. No, and this is again going back 10 years. That generally they come and go. They might flicker the lights within 10 or 15, maybe 20 minutes. That would be pretty much the longest time you'd experience a power outage. Years ago, again, turning back the clocks 10 years ago when I first landed here, you'd have power outages that were longer. But I've seen within the last 10 years, there's some substations that went up, and however they manage that, they seem to, like anything, every day they're getting better and better. And we experienced less power outages. The one that went out for a while there, that happened in it wasn't even here. The effect was here, but the actual transistor or whatever that blew up, I think, in Guatemala. So as a result, it's strange to think how one unit could knock power out of Panama, but that was a story that was that they said that people from Guatemala all the way down to Panama didn't have lights, and that was maybe like 3 or 4 hours. But again, they worked the best.
Okay. Yeah, we got a question from Y, and I'm gonna beef it up a little bit. He's just making a joke, but what about places like nail salons, barber shops, beauty shops, massage parlors? Are there those little incremental type of things where you can go out once a week and treat yourself to a normal massage? You want to get yourself a manicure. You want to get yourself a haircut. You want to have your hair colored, or whatever the deal is. You want to get it. What's the availability of that? I mean, what's the standard? I know it's not going to be Beverly Hills where you're paying $300 to have some guy named jump around. But what's the availability of that? So address that a little bit. Could I go down there with my bad back and just get a regular massage? And will the place be clean? Will it be inexpensive? Maybe give us the lowdown on that. If I wanted to get a manicure and I have a girlfriend and she wants to go in and get her nails and her hair and all that jazz done, what's the dealio on that kind of stuff?
Okay. Yes, if you do want to get a massage, they do have a massage place right here in San Juan. I think it's it's not that cheap, but again, it's not too terribly expensive. I think it's like $20 or $25 for about an hour. It was actually on the second floor of where I take my laundry to get done every day. It's called Gabby's, and that's on the second floor. And they can give you whatever type of massage, facials, anything like that. They can pamper you. The Latino people are generally very, very clean people. And I'm sure you've seen that down here when you were down here, and Mike. And I know a lot about the nail salons, because as you know, with Cosmetic Sophia, I'm in all the nail salons and everything like this. I can ask her, ¿qué cuesta por una manicure?
500 Córdoba, 250, dependiendo.
Okay, for un manicure y pedicure también.
Sí.
Okay, you can get your feet and your feet and your nails done for about 500. So call 500. So like $14 if you want to get your nails done by pedicure. 500.
500 y son por las dos cosas.
For the two, if you just want to get your nails done, you solo por sus uñas.
Por la uña dependiendo de los lados.
Yeah, it depends on the length, but
Son de 300 a 400 Córdobas.
Tracy at 300 Cordovas, so call it $12. So anywhere between $12 and $18 is the most they're going to clip you for going to one of these places. But that still do a great job. Something in the States that probably cost you a lot more.
Okay, what about, well, you're in the beauty business. What about a haircut? And the guy wants to, once a month, he gets his hair colored. Obviously, I don't.
Okay.
But, guys, actually, I spent a lot of money having my dark hair bleached this white. It cost me a ton, but I didn't want to brag.
You should bottle that color and sell it.
Right. I saw if you saw one of my episodes in Pure Alpha Life, I actually had my barber come over here to the house. He does house calls, and he actually came over to my house, and he gave me a wonderful cut here. His name was Randall, and I think it was not even 100 pesos, which is like $4. I think it was like 80, but I just I give him 100, whatever. But in one of my last episodes, when I was in Rivas, where she was getting her choppers worked on, I took our viewers over to a new place. It was called Flow, and it was a barber shop. And the kid cut my hair for $2. And they don't expect a tip or anything. Did a wonderful job. And again, I'm not cheap. I give him like double just because he did a good job. He allowed me to tape it and everything. And so that's all it really cost. I could have my hair cut for no more than you don't have to budget in there more than $2 or $3 a month. And then in the color, you can get a tint. You can get the box of colors for 90 Cordoba, which is like a little over $2 or $3. And we're talking good stuff, not cheap stuff. And then I usually don't pay them to do it. I let one of the girls in the rotation, Candy, used to do it. and she said she'd do it when I get a little salt and pepper coming in on the side. When I got a little salt and pepper coming in on the sides. But I include that in some of my videos. If you remember the one video you were talking about, the girls dyed my hair and then they were shaving my chest because I like to have no hair from here down. I like to be like a plucked chicken with no hair.
Yeah, you're in denial. All right, kids. We missed 1,000 comments as usual. We had a lot of fun today. I think it was a really good stream. I really want to appreciate, thank both of you very much for joining me today. And Mike, awesome job, buddy. Dean, if you can talk to Dave and just tell him I'd like to chat him up and maybe have him back on, and we could do a little follow-up with him after 2 months.
Oh, definitely.
See how he's doing.
We'll do it this week. We'll have Dave on. He's off duty. He works until 6. I'll get him. I'm sure he might be out there.
Yeah, that's a whole different dynamic, because he's a digital nomad.
Mm-hmm.
And he's down there earning a living.
Mm-hmm.
So that's completely different than from what I'm doing or what Mike is thinking of doing. So talk about your purpose. There you go. You're waking up and you got to still do the grind. Yep. Granted, it's a lot easier to do that in your pajamas from home than doing the commute to an office, but you still got to do it. And so that would be an interesting perspective there. The electricity, I have one final question. Which means I've only got 5 or 6 questions more.
That's okay. We have all night. We're just getting started.
If I was to hang out at home all day and run the aircon, what would it be? $300, $400?
No. Well, the central area, but let's not talk central area because that's an extreme.
That's an extreme.
Right.
Santa Maria.
Right, Santa Maria, right, and they have those big windows where the sun's coming in on you all day, so that's gonna throw off your. Where here I live a little bit on a shaded lot. I would tell you again, an average what I use now. I have, and you got most of you guys who are viewers of Pure Alpha Life. You know the size of my house. It's a nice middle class house. It's not huge. It's 2 bedrooms with 1 bathroom. I run the fan. I have a refrigerator. The stove runs off gas. I get a tank of gas for $10. And it lasts me 6 months. I can't even tell you the last time I need to replace it. I just have it, and again, my air conditioning unit's newer, so it's not the old technology. So it's efficient. Let's put it that way.
90 days, Scott.
So I tell you what, I like the air again because I just do. When I lived in Costa Rica many years, it was really fresh. I'm kind of sport. I like the cold air. I usually have it on most of the night, or when I'm making love, I like to have the nice cold air on. And my bills come in to be about. This one was a little higher. I had a bill coming in about $130, but that's not typical. $80 to budget in there about $100, and you'll be fine.
Okay,
that's the average.
Right. Visa length. So I don't want to become a resident. I just want to come hang out. What's the
90 days
I can hang?
Right. Okay. 90 days, as Mike said, but then you can extend that. And it's very inexpensive and very easy to get your extensions. Even if you overstay, they're not going to knock on your door that drag you out of the house. When you get to the airport, I think if you overstay all your welcomes, or if you overstay all your visas, what they do is they give you at the airport, I think you pay like 50 cords, which is like $2, and then like $1, $2 every day for your over. So you can realistically spend an extra 6 months here, and they're not going to tell you can't come back, or as long as it wasn't for many years, and you just pay a little bit of a fine at the airport, and then they put everything together and you're good to go. But there's no like, you can't come back here. Why'd you stay longer? Or why did you do this? No, they're very, very, very easy from what I experienced.
All right, kids. Well, we're going to wrap it up. I want to, here's Michael doing it for me. And I want to thank you guys for joining in. You're all good sports. And I want to thank everybody that joined the stream, that had a comment. Again, I apologize. I never get to all the comments, but this one was exceptional because we talked so long. But I really do feel in my heart of hearts that it was very informative. I think it was entertaining to some degree, as always. And it's always lovely to see your beautiful girlfriend there. And again, guys, I want to thank you. And it's time for me to take Baby May down to Valencia Market. So,
Great.
Last words.
Next time, hopefully, I'll bring the other rotation girls on. Maybe you're getting burned out of seeing your Lenny.
No, never.
Okay. But you can see them all in Pure Alpha Life.
Yeah, but your Laney's the best one. So
well, okay.
Yeah,
there
sure.
you go. There you know why I spent so much time with her.
yeah.
Well, guys, again, thank you very much. And I will chat with each of you personally whenever you want.
Great.
And we'll do it again, okay? So I'm going to end it here.
Thank you so much, Mike.
Thank
Thanks
you,
so much
Paul.
for coming down.
Thank you, guys.
I appreciate
It's a
it.
pleasure.
Okay. Bye now.
All right.